In a land brushed by the sun and blessed with the rhythm of drums, there lived a man named Obadele, in a village tucked between roaring rivers and ancient forests, where the wind carried secrets and the soil held the weight of generations. Obadele was not rich in gold or cattle, but his soul was full, overflowing with love for his wife Sade and their 3 children, 2 sons, brave and eager, and a daughter named Nafisa whose laughter could silence storms. Obadele worked as a hired hand on other men's farms, waking before dawn, his feet wet with dew, his hands calloused from tilling soil that was not his own. Sade, a proud market woman, sold peppers and cassava with joy in her step and songs in her throat, holding the family together with strength gentler than silk, but firmer than stone. Their home, a small hut thatched with palm leaves, pulsed with joy, stories, and the scent of roasted maize. They were poor by village standards, but their evenings were rich, children playing in the dusk, sad humming lullabies, and Obadele, tired but content, telling tales of ancestors who wrestled with lions and danced with the rain. But as time passed, the world outside their home began to shrink. Obadele's old friends, men who once shared palm wine under the baobab, began to speak in whispers and mock his patched clothes and empty hands. At festivals, they avoided his gaze. One day, during a gathering to celebrate the chief's birthday, Obadele arrived with his family, hoping to share joy. They brought roasted yams wrapped in leaves, a humble gift, but from the heart. As they approached, the laughter around the fire dimmed. One of Obadele's former friends, now dressed in fine robes, smirked and said loudly, "Ah, the farmer without a farm. Did you come to beg or borrow?" The laughter that followed shattered Obadele's pride. He gritted his teeth, bowed politely, and left with his family. That night, under the trembling stars, he told Saad, "Let them laugh. We have each other, and that is worth more than all their riches." She nodded, wiping his brow, whispering, "Your dignity feeds us more than gold ever could." Still, Obadele carried the sting in his chest like a burning coal. Weeks passed. The harvest season came. Obadele, desperate for work, approached the most powerful man in the region, Chief Gbolahan, a man with lands that stretched to the horizon and eyes that hid ambition like a knife beneath silk. "Chief," Obadele said, bowing deeply, "let me and my sons help harvest your yam fields. We are strong, and we will not disappoint you." The chief nodded slowly, his lips curling into something between a smile and a smirk. "Come at dawn. Bring your sons. The gods may finally favor your kind." And so began weeks of labor under the scorching sun. Obadele and his sons worked without rest, their shirts soaked in sweat, their hands blistered. They carried basket after basket of yams, their legs trembling but never quitting. Sade brought food to the field each afternoon, her eyes full of pride, her laughter lifting their spirits. When the final yam was pulled and the fields lay bare, Obadele approached the chief for payment. The chief, lounging under a silk canopy, tossed a small pouch at his feet. "Take this," he said. "It's part of what I owe you. Come tomorrow for the rest." Obadele hesitated. The pouch was too light, but he picked it up, bowed, and left. That night, he handed the coins to Sade and said, "Cook something special. The children deserve a feast." But he couldn't sleep. His mind replayed the chief's tone, the lightness of the pouch, the promise of more. The next morning, he returned to the chief's palace. But instead of payment, he was met with wine, roasted meat, and flattery. "Sit, my friend," the chief said. "You have worked well. You deserve more than coins." "What if I told you there's a way to rise?" Obadell's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" The chief leaned in. "There is a man who lives at the edge of the sacred forest. He knows ancient ways. No blood sacrifice, only ritual. Visit him. Your life will change." The chief pressed a heavy sack into Obadell's hands. "A gift. Consider it. A sample." Obadell's fingers trembled. The weight of the gold was heavier than any yam he'd ever carried. That night, he sat by the fire, the sack untouched beside him. Saad's eyes narrowed. "Where did this come from?" she asked. He told her everything. He nodded, but deep inside, seeds of temptation had taken root. The next morning, Obadele walked to the forest. The air grew colder as he approached the clearing. There, beside a fire that didn't smoke, sat the old man. His face was wrinkled like tree bark, his eyes glowing like embers. "You seek a better life?" he asked. Obadele nodded. "Then kneel," said the old man. "No blood will be spilled, but your soul must agree." He was handed a bowl of oil, thick and dark. He rubbed it on his arms, chest, and forehead. The old man chanted. The wind howled. Leaves danced in circles around them. "The gods have accepted," the old man said. "Go now. Wealth will come. But remember, nothing is free." And it did. Within days, strangers arrived offering land. Markets boomed with Obadele's name. People came seeking his advice, and gold seemed to bloom where he walked. His hut became a mansion. His sons wore silk. Nafisa, his daughter, had maids. But Obadele smiled less. At night, he stared at the ceiling, waiting. And then, one evening, a boy arrived at the gate. A message. The old man summoned him again. Obadele returned to the forest, heart heavy. The old man waited. "The gods are ready," he said. "The pact must be sealed." Obadele's hands shook. "What do they want?" The old man didn't blink. "Your daughter, Nafisa, a gift to the gods." Obadele screamed. "No, she is just a child." But the old man's face was stone. 7 days. Refuse, and the gods will take her themselves, and everything else too. Obadele stumbled home. He couldn't speak. He watched Nafisa braid flowers, her innocence a knife to his chest. Saad saw the storm in his eyes and asked, but he shook his head. Each day passed like thunder. On the 6th night, Obadele broke. He prepared the oil, crushed the herbs. "Nafisa," he called. "Come, drink this. It's a blessing for your future." She smiled, trusting. As she drank and fell asleep, he carried her to the forest, laid her on the ritual mat, lifted the stone bowl, but before he could move, Saad screamed, "Obadele, what have you done?" She had followed him. Behind her came villagers with torches and weapons. They rushed in, pulled Nafisa away. Obadele fell to the ground, weeping. The truth spilled from his mouth like fire. The chief, the gold, the pact, the old man. The king was summoned. A trial was held. Obadele confessed all. But the chief had vanished. The old man's hut was found, but empty. The king spoke. "You have sinned gravely, but you stopped before it was too late. You will live, but in chains. You will work. You will atone." Obadele was led away. In the darkness of his cell, he wept, not for the gold, not for the house, not for the land, but for nearly losing the only thing that mattered, his daughter's laughter. And so, the tale of Obadele spread like fire across the land. A tale of choices, of temptation, of a father's fall and redemption. A reminder that the weight of a coin is nothing compared to the weight of conscience.